Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled meeting of President Board of Trustees, Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, held on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, beginning at 6:53 p.m. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Brennan?
Present.
Trustee Mahoney is absent. Trustee Mueller?
Here.
Trustee Shaw?
Present.
Trustee Sullivan? Here. President Klotz?
Present. Item number one, can I have a motion to consider approval of the agenda?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item one. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item two, can I have a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the public hearing and regular village board meeting held on January 7, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item two. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next, before we start item number three, I want to apologize, Lloyd, for going past with the public hearing. Item three, receive presentation at Tinley Park Business Spotlight, Evolve Therapy and Yoga by President Klotz and Clerk O'Connor. Evolve Therapy and Yoga, located at 7905 West 159th Street in Suite C, is dedicated to helping kids and adolescents unleash their capabilities. They offer a range of health and wellness programs that support development, emotional health, and a balanced lifestyle. This village is pleased to welcome Lloyd Logan, founder of Evolve Therapy and Yoga.
Hi, good evening, good night. A little nervous. Haven't been in this type of setting before. Just wanted to tell you briefly, I think I have like a couple minutes, right? So I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been practicing for over 15 years, mostly working in inpatient settings, psychiatric hospitals. And I decided to branch out on my own. I'm also a 200-hour certified yoga instructor. And so at Evolve in Therapy, and we're right above Rocco's, we have infused yoga with talk therapy a lot of times, especially with kiddos. Talk therapy is not always effective. And especially if there's trauma, the body holds on to trauma. So yoga kind of helps. If I have a kiddo that doesn't really want to talk that day, or just doesn't want to engage in that way, we'll do yoga instead. And we also do standalone yoga classes for children. Now it's only on Saturdays just because it kind of conflicts with the therapies during the week. So we have at 10 a.m. 4 to 6-year-olds, and then our 11 a.m. yoga class is which is 7 to 12-year-olds, is at 11 o'clock in the morning. I think I said that backwards. So like really excited to be here in Tinley. I'm originally from Evanston. My husband, we moved to Orland Park last September. And one of the reasons why I decided to open up this practice, since COVID, a lot of services was going virtual. And even though they're trying to twist studies that virtual therapy for kids is just as effective as in-person, it's actually not. I've seen the difference doing therapy virtually versus in-person. So I was doing therapy virtually since COVID for another practice. And I was like, this is not why, this is not the reason I became a social worker. I feel like I was doing an injustice to the children I was serving. And so I decided I have enough experience. I've been doing this for over 15 years. It's time for me to branch out and open my own practice. It's been great. I'm a part of the Tinley Chambers of Commerce. They were really supportive, really engaging, and the community is really flocking to it. There is no other children yoga studio in the surrounding area, which is kind of cool that I'm breaking that. Yeah, so just want to let you know. And now we've added an adult part of Evolve Therapy and Yoga. We have a therapist there. She specializes in addictions, addictions all over the board, whether it's substance and other type of addictions. So, of course, the adults are during the day, and the kiddos, they come after school, because I don't believe in pulling kids from school for therapy, because school is important. And so I just wanted to share, if you know anyone or that's interested in yoga for their kiddos or interested in therapy for their kiddos, I just wanted to spread the word that we're here. I opened up October 24th was my grand opening, and most of my clients, which is very heartwarming. I don't want to bring race into this, but what I've been hearing, it's weird. Like, a lot of Black families have been finding me. They said that Tinley Park specifically does not really have any Black therapists, and so they felt like there's representation in the community for children of color. So all the Black and brown kids are flocking to my studio, and I'm excited. And I do serve all races. So this is not, I don't label myself as a Black-owned business. It's just a business for everyone. It's very inclusive, but it's good that people, that we have a practice in Tinley Park that represents all of Tinley Park. Yeah, and so I think that's it.
Awesome,
Well, thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
You have a very soothing voice. I like
I think Bill needs some therapy, yoga.
He was
it.
showing
I swear to
me
God, I
some
could listen to your
videos of
voice
him
for an
doing
hour.
yoga.
It's like soothing. I think we got all these little therapy.
So could I ask you a real quick question? Have you, over here, have you worked with you said starting at age 4, have you worked with the EI program in the state, the early intervention at all?
I worked with, I actually did a couple of years of early intervention as a social worker. I would go in-home as a social worker with the care plan and different things like that. And I have quite a few kids that receive early intervention services as well. I have not connected with early intervention. I don't know if that's where it's going.
No. I was just curious because my wife is OT, works in that field, and many years ago she was doing pediatric yoga, and so there's a connection there, and I was just interested to know, since you were saying you're one of the only ones in the area, if you had done that, because I agree with you, there's a demand for it. So
Yeah, definitely.
good for you.
Thank you. In person. There's a long
Yes.
waiting list for in-person therapy.
Absolutely. Yep.
Good stuff.
Next, we have item number 4. May I have a motion to consider approval of the consent agenda items?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Consent agenda items have been publicly posted and available for review on the agenda for this meeting. Anyone from the board like any of these items removed from tonight's consent agenda?
I don't want to remove them, but can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
Just want to thank Chief for bringing the intergovernmental agreement with the school district 230 to our attention. I think that's a fantastic program, so appreciate it.
Thank you. Ditto.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 4, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next, we have a lot of agenda items for trustee Mueller. Next, we have item number 5, trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2024-R-148, authorizing an execution of an annexation and development agreement with Tinley Park Land Dev LLC for certain property located at 7551 191st Street, the Brookside Creek Retail Center.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Mike.
The property owner has petitioned the Village of Tinley Park to annex their approximate 55.1 acre parcel located at 7551 191st Street into the village and developing the 71.9 total acres of land under the guidance of the proposed annexation agreement. Public hearing was held on this item January 7th and 21st, 2025, and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any comments from the board? Would anyone from the public care to comment on item 5? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 5, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 6, trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2024-0-063, annexing the property at 7551 191st Street pursuant to 65 ILCS 5-7-1-13.
Is there
Who wrote
a second?
I'll second it.
Say that one more time.
The property at 7551 191st Street is petitioned to be annexed under the allowances of the Illinois Municipal Code. The approximate 55.085 acre parcel and contiguous to Village of Tinley Park. The parcel will be annexed under R1 zoning district and rezoned to B3 as part of the corresponding zoning request for Brookside Creek Retail Center. The annexation will be effective on the date of passage. The item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole held just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Would anyone from the public care to comment on item number 6? Thank you, Jen. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 6, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 7, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2024-0-065, granting a special use for Brookside Creek Retail Center planned unit development from 7251 to 7551 191st Street and 192nd and Harlem Avenue, the Brookside Creek Retail Center.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
The petitioner seeks to use, the petitioner seeks the special use to create the Brookside Creek Retail Center plan unit development, which will include 71.9 acres to have 7 developable lots for commercial uses. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on December 5th, 2024, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this special use in accordance with the plans and recommended conditions, PUD regulations, and findings of facts as listed in the staff report. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Got a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I actually, in looking at here, I think it was applicable to the previous one, but that's okay. It's, I think this may be for Dan or somebody. In looking at the agreement, it referenced special use criteria. I just want to ask, those are consistent, I didn't verify, those are consistent with the standards of special use in our normal code, right?
Yeah, PUD is approved through a special use, and then there's some additional ones for PUD as well. But yes, those standards are all for a special use.
And the, when a substantial deviation comes down the pike, the standards are the same?
Correct.
There's nothing different in any of that, right?
Correct.
Okay, that was my understanding. Thank you.
You're welcome. Only comment I wanted to make on, it's not really pertaining to 7, but in case I forget, on the last items. In regards to the security compared to across the street, I'm not an expert in retail space, but I would think it's totally two different types of development. Over there, you have the, the Kohl's and the Dick's, where you have the high-end items that people like to steal compared to going to a grocery store. I just think it'll be a huge difference unless one of the retailers next door is a business like that. So I just think there's a big difference between the two. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for item number 7?
Roll call for item 7, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Item 8, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2024-0-064, granting a map amendment, rezoning for certain properties located at 7251 and 7551 181st Street and 192nd and Harlem Avenue upon annexation of all land to the B3 zoning district.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Go ahead.
The Plan Commission held a public hearing on December 6, 2024, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the map amendment to B3 zoning district in accordance with the plans as listed in the listed reviewed plans and findings of facts as listed in the staff report. This ordinance is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Are there any questions or comments from the public for item 8? Again, not pertaining to item 8, but I want to ask because I know Village Manager Pat Carr and Jen and all the residents and the developer and Dan have been working together. Have you guys come to a final resolution on the fence issue, Jen, that you brought up? Are you guys?
Yeah, what we've done is we have memorialized it in the agreement as it relates to the berms. There was misunderstanding of where we were placing the original fence on the berm, and what we've done is it's gonna be a berm around the perimeter, which is memorialized in the agreement, and then the landscaping berm around the actual development with a fence is gonna be included in there, so. But there will be ongoing discussions with the residents as the project gets started and the plans get the final landscaping plan gets finalized, which will include the residents in that.
Okay.
For the developer, correct?
It gives you a lot of flexibility to make changes to it, the landscaping, the fence location, things like that.
All right, thanks, sir. Is that Jen, is that covering most of those items we've been talking about with the fence, or we still have more work on that to do?
We're just talking about the 10-foot fence and the berm and things like that. So I think Pat and I talked a little bit today, trying to get all that out. Nothing is set, nothing is finalized
Okay.
yet. But that would cover that portion of what we're concerned with,
Okay.
correct? Yes.
Perfect, thank you. I don't remember if I asked, are there any comments from the public on item 8? No. Madam Clerk, please call.
Hang on, Mr. Mayor, just real quick just for the record, what is the distance of the businesses in feet? Dan, do you remember? It was stated at the last meeting.
It ranges, it's a little over 300 is the closest, and then depending on where you go, it gets above 500, 600.
Okay.
So it's right around 300 is the closest one to the south to the peaks.
Got it, okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for item 8?
Roll call for item 8, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item number 8, trustee Mueller.
We're going to go to 9, if that's okay
I'm
with
sorry,
you, Mr.
9.
Mayor.
My bad.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2024-R-149, approving the Brookside Creek Retail Center final plat of subdivision.
I will second that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Colleen. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on December 5th, 2024, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the plat of subdivision dated October 25th, 2024, in accordance with the listed plans, recommended conditions, and findings of facts as listed in the staff report. This resolution is also eligible for adoption tonight.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any comments from the public on item number 9? Would you mind, Jen, could you just step up there so everyone can hear it that's watching?
Not a question really on 9, but was there 2 public hearings? Because there's one on item number 8 that was December 6th,
It was,
and then one on December 5th?
the Plan Commission held a public hearing.
So it says the Plan Commission held the public hearing?
So the
No,
bill-
that-
But it says that there's
That's-
2 different dates.
That's an error. They were both held on the
Yeah,
same.
it was on the 5th. so
Okay, because
that
item
might have
number
been
8
tip-
states it was on December 6th.
Yeah,
So I
that-
just want to make sure that we didn't miss any
No, it was all-
meetings that we were not told about.
No, that's an error.
Okay,
Yeah,
Right.
all the plan commission ones were December 5th, so I think
that's what I,
just a
that's what I
typo
thought, but
on
then I
that
just
one.
read that and I was like, wait a minute, okay, just want to make sure.
There was nothing you weren't made aware of. so, yeah.
Are there any other comments for item number 9? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 9, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 10. Trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2024-0-072, granting a special use for a substantial deviation from Brookside Creek Retail Center Plan Unit Development for Gas and Wash at 7455 191st Street.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Mike.
The special use allows for the development of a gas station, car wash, and convenience store with 2 drive-through tenants on Lot 1 of the Brookside Creek PUD. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on December 5th, not the 6th, the 5th, gotta correct this one, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of special use with plans and findings of fact as noted in the staff report. This ordinance is also eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board on item number 10? Are there any comments from the public on item number 10?
I just wanted to reiterate, now with this, is it also stating that it could be 24 hours in the plan?
Dan?
I don't, that's not specifically called out or regulated, but I think like we said in the plan commission meeting, every gas and wash that we looked up was 24 hours. So I'm assuming that's what they're gonna do here like their other ones.
But is there room for us to talk about that and discuss that going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss it, but there's,
So discussion or no, discuss it, but it's just, you're set in 24 hours is what I'm asking.
yeah,
For
we're gonna
that.
approve it now, but it doesn't mean we can't discuss it.
Okay.
Of all the developers, Len from Gas and Wash has probably been one of the easiest to work with on everything we've done in this village. So, yeah, I'm sure I'm not saying that he would, but I'm sure he'd be able to listen and talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Because I just have one question. This one, though, we are not going to have trucks, correct? This is only gonna be gas?
There's no dedicated truck fueling location at this one. So I assume they're still selling diesel. There could be a truck fueling, but there's not like the dedicated truck.
Dedicated truck stop?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Just want to make sure I did that. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for item number 10?
Roll call for item 10, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have item number 11, receive comments from the staff, but before we do that, the village, we always, we always recognize employees for their length of service. We have a special one with us tonight that is 3 days away from 35 years. He's in the room with us tonight. He's got a smirk on his face. Lisa's smiling at him, and that is Officer King. The board would like to thank you for your 35 years of service to the Village of Tinley Park.
Sure. It's okay. Thank you. Okay, ready? Grab this one too. Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In the report, it's this location. Somehow they accidentally duplicated it over here.
Oh.
You start sniffing people.
No.
Are there any comments from staff? No. Oh, you guys are quiet. Item 12, receive comments from the board. Anyone from the board care to comment?
I would just like to remind everybody to stay warm, dress in layers, and don't forget about your pets. Don't leave them out there a long time in this weather. You don't like it, either do they. That's it.
You had to bring their chameleon in, huh?
Yes.
Thank you. I had some comments. So recently, I know a lot of people have been receiving these robocalls that they've been notifying me of that Hastings and Rita and Mike Maloney are doing on our town. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way these people roll. They believe in being who they are. In the robocall, they ask about Mike Maloney leading over 10,000 members of the Pipe Fitters 597. He really doesn't lead anyone. There's only 7,000 active members. I looked it up on their website. And the business manager runs the pipe fitters just like the electricians, the operators. The president is just a title. He has no power. He has no position of authority. But they keep playing that card. It's unfortunate. They also want to know about how this board has created, the cost of living has spiraled out of control in Tinley Park. They mentioned the garbage prices have surged. What they forget to mention is, if everyone remembers, we asked New Way to freeze the rates, their last contract. They froze them for a year, and then we went out for an RFP. And when that RFP came back, the actual rates went down, I believe, over $2 or so. So if you factor in the freezing rate, it went down probably about $3. Luckily, that's all factual. They mentioned that the property taxes remain a heavy burden on residents, and myself and this village board is forcing families to pay more. Well, everyone knows that's not true. The only burden is from the school districts, which is caused by the legislators. If you live in Rich Township, your tax portion from the village is only 9%. Bremen is only 11%. Orland Township, if you live in, is only 13, and I forgot to write down the Frankfurt one. I think it's maybe 14%. is your portion of the bill. All of it, if not most, is from your school districts. They like doing, these guys like blaming everyone, but anyone that follows your legislators of Hastings and Rita, they actually cause all these problems with their unfunded legislation. They caused a burden, they underfund the schools, now they're not funding the busing for District 130 like they should be doing. And then the school district is forced to raise your taxes, and then unfortunately, they blame the village. Well, the village, again, look at your tax bill, you hardly pay anything to the village for your house. It just, and then they had a question, which actually was legit. It said, if Michael Maloney pretends to be an independent leader, but is just a puppet for the Democratic machine, his campaign is controlled by Senator Hastings and Bob Rita and Springfield insiders. He will do exactly as his political masters tell him. That was the question they asked. Well, that's actually a legit question, because he unfortunately is a puppet, and he's just like the Rubinos with all of his pensions, and now above on his pensions he's getting, the taxpayers pay him $11,250 a month for him to be in charge of the mental health center, and anyone that's driven by it, it looks like garbage. All the garbage is piled all over the place. They fired Maloney and had the board fire what was the company, Brown? They were the one that were doing the monitoring for the asbestos and stuff. Why did they fire him so quickly? Is it because they were actually reporting all the asbestos? If you drive by, you could see all the dust flying through the air. You know, they got in trouble by OSHA because they didn't have stop blocks. They have bobcats on top of 4-story buildings, which you're not supposed to do because there's no railings around the system. The guy could drive off the building. They're pushing garbage out the windows. You have to legally have a stop block because the bobcat could go right off the edge of the building with all the dust. So it's actually a legit question. And the other fact about it is actually Eric Schmidt, he's running with the other guys. He's the current commissioner of the Tinley Park Bulldogs, and he recently has been telling all the board members that the campaign is being funded by Rita and Hastings. So at least he admitted it. Unfortunately, it really puts the Bulldogs, which my family was the first organization they started through. It's supposed to be for the kids, but they politicize it. They have history with politicizing it with the Rubinos, Chad Selewski and his wife Aaliyah, who ran against our clerk in 2023. They got suspended from the Bulldogs because they were using the Bulldogs list to contact members, which it's against the 501c, but they did it anyways. So they were suspended for it, but now they're back at it. So now they pick another guy that's on the board, and they're going to do the same thing. They also said that the board is misleading the public about police staffing. Again, another outright lie. We have talked about this for years, since 2019, since Bill Brennan, Trustee Mueller, and the rest of everyone started getting on the board and took control away from Vandenberg and Yunker. The number one priority has been our police staffing. As Hannah can attest to it, and our police chief, it's the highest in the history of the village of Tinley Park in hiring for the police department. It has never been this high. We have more police officers. We added 4 commanders, which we didn't have. We've added, we had 2 deputy chiefs, which we'll be replacing. We added 2 extra sergeants, which now we have 11, which there only used to be 9. So they have more police staff to keep our town safe than they've ever had. But they try to prey on the seniors. They put these questions out there and they try to fearmonger them that they think something's wrong. They also said that because of our leadership, they've gone through 3 different police chiefs in 4 years. Number one, again, that's just a complete lie. In 2018, or it was 17, Vandenberg, also AKA Mayor Coming Through, fired Steve Neubauer. I was only a trustee. I had absolutely no power. I was one trustee. Vandenberg had control of the board. Vandenberg fired him. He brought in his buddy Matt Walsh. His people that worked there refer to him as Sleepy Matt Walsh. They brought him in August of 2018, and that was a complete disaster. Staff complained constantly about him not being at work. Pat Carr would hold his feet to the fire because he was in charge of public safety. And then Dave Niemeyer would come down to Pat's office, and he would tell him that you have to stop having Matt do his job because Mayor Vandenberg back then, former Vandenberg, would complain to Niemeyer to leave Matt Walsh alone because Vandenberg was complaining. So the village hired every single person in the department of the police department that Matt Walsh recommended to fix things, and it was still a mess. Whenever there was a crisis, Matt disappeared, and luckily, we had two deputy chiefs, one out of respect, I won't name his name, he's not here. The other deputy chief was Tom Tilton, who served 25 years in the Secret Service under 4 United States presidents. Luckily, when Matt left, well, I'll get to that later, Chief stepped up. We literally, if you watch some of the tapes when Matt was here, when he sat in the same chair, Pat used to have to wake him up because he would fall asleep. That's why his nickname was Sleepy Matt. Then around August of 2023, Matt Walsh told Pat Carr and I that Senator Hastings told him to quit his job and he will find him a new one. Shortly thereafter, he quit, and then he went to Indian Head Park, which only had 9 police officers. He couldn't even handle 9 police officers, so he had to ask his friend to come help him get Indian Head Park straight, which the guy that helped him is one of the best, so luckily he had someone to lean on. He was their second choice, he wasn't even their first choice. So no police chief has ever been fired by this board. He cut a deal with, unfortunately, the devil, which is Senator Hastings. This is probably why Governor Pritzker asked Hastings to resign back in his 22 election when WBZ reported allegedly about the beatings of his now luckily former ex-wife. You know, it's unfortunate that we have to discuss this stuff, but Hastings and Rita, this is their playbook. This is what they do. They come in, they shred towns apart, and they try to take over. In regards to this, which we'll be discussing later, this whole sportsplex that they keep talking about at the mental health center, they fail to mention the paperwork that I'll post. It's not the Tinley Park District Sports Complex. It's the regional sportsplex. The sportsplex for the town was Orland Hills that he got $9 million for his father. In Orland Hills, they built a sportsplex, and if you walk in there, it's absolutely disgusting. All the mats are covered with his name, Senator Michael Hastings Sportsplex, or whatever they call it. That's the sportsplex for Orland Hills. But Tinley Parks is not Tinley Parks. It's the regional sportsplex. It's to cover Matson, Country Club Hills, Olympia Fields, Midlothian, Frankfurt Square, Mokina. It's not Tinley Park's Park District. And also in the letter that they sent to the state, it's free to them to come use your building that you own. So the village will be paying for all the cost of that park district while they let their residents for the regional sportsplex come and use your building that your tax dollars pay for, which will be free to them to come use. And it's actually in the letter. I'll see if I could pull that up and post it for next, have it up for the screen for next meeting. Talk a little bit about campaign financing with Hastings, with all the lies that guy spews. A complaint will be filed against him, I can promise you that. Campaign contributions, if anyone knows about campaign contributions, they're supposed to be used for the campaign, not for your personal piggy bank. And this is what these guys do. If you see Hastings, ask him why his surprise birthday party was paid for by donor contributions. Luckily, photographs were shared with me where he had a surprise birthday party at 159th at, I forget what that building is, the old name next to Giorgio's. And his surprise birthday party was paid for by political funds. Say what is furniture, house renovations. Misleading the State Board of Elections, as he should know as he's an attorney. on automobile expenditures is also illegal. Hastings knows exactly what I'm referring to, and he's probably spinning right now, knowing that I know what he does with his campaign contributions. It's not for your personal use to buy vehicles. Contributions are to promote the campaign. They're not for you to take money out of the campaign and then buy yourself vehicles and state that it's for repairs of vehicles, which it's not. And he won't say anything about it because he knows it's true. Mike Maloney, if you've been paying attention to the Park District and go to the Park District meetings, he hasn't even attended the last two meetings that residents have told me. It's part of his employment contract. I hope he's reimbursing the taxpayers of his $11,250 check that his neighbor, Antonio Rubino, and them helped him get, because he's not even showing up to meetings, which are the number one requirement of his contract. He has to show up at these meetings. For time constraints, I'll cut it short on the so-called Rubino companies, but please go on Sunshine, Illinois, and search AR Printing. Everyone wants to know what they're trying to do to our town. Go and look up what AR Printing is, and look at the thousands of dollars that are funneled into the Rubino's pockets by Blue Island political committees. So what they do is, it doesn't have a legitimate printing company in his basement or garage. His father-in-law, which is Bob Rita, everyone knows what Bob Rita is, they'll have all these Blue Island political packs order, so if they need to order signs, they need to order, envelopes. Those envelopes will be printed by AR Printing. They pay him. And so why does that work? They're pass-through. That's how people make money on pass-throughs, because there's commissions to it. If you look, AR Printing has tens of thousands of dollars, but they don't print. They also own a printing company. They own a security company, a construction company, and just recently they shut down, I don't know if it's related to the McCormick Place scandal, but they recently just shut down their newly opened Hunter Landscaping Company, which it shows that it's dissolved. I FOIA'd his secondary employment with the state's attorney, and he has to disclose all of his hours. I think Ken Shaw has talked about that before in the past. You have to list your hours that you work at these companies as part of your secondary employment with the Cook County State's Attorney. His math isn't very good, because the number of hours that he said that he worked at all these other companies that his families all own was more than hours that are even possible in a week for one person to work. So what did they do when we called it out? Now they put a line through how many hours that they're supposed to work, and they approve it. So this board and our staff has done a phenomenal job, and I thank every one of them. This will be just like the 2019 election, when Hastings spent over $200,000 trying to keep the town, what him and Vandenberg were doing. Anyone remembers with the firehouse contract, I called it all out. They opened up sealed bids. They were trying to give a contract to a friend of theirs that was working at the Orland Township that our staff stated wasn't even qualified to be in the running out of 16 companies. Our former assistant village manager, God bless his soul, I called him after he left, and I asked him a question about this firehouse contract on 167th, and I said, Steve, can you please tell me something does not seem right about this firehouse contract? What am I missing? And he said, trust your gut. That's the reason that I quit and I took a job in Texas. He had a choice to make. It was either A, he's a whistleblower because he was being forced by Vandenberg to open up sealed bids for the firehouse contract, or B, he was too young. He was 30, in his 30s. He had a great career ahead of him, and he chose B. He picked up his family, he left Tinley Park, and went with the village manager of Orland Park to Texas, because he didn't want to deal with the stuff that these people were putting him through. And now they're running campaigns in Bremen Township, Tinley Park, Orland Park, and Orland Township. They want control of everything, because that's what these people do. They give contracts, they give jobs to everyone. This is what they like doing. And it shows right with this mental health center, this neighbor has been retired for 5 years. And now, I don't know how many people make $11,250 a month. He's retired, gets multiple pensions from the union that he worked for, and now he's getting another $11,250 a month. It's disgusting and it's sick what these people do. They're trying to tear a town apart. And you guys are gonna be flooded with these type of robocalls in your mailboxes from these people. They do not stand for the morals of Tinley Park, and it's sad that we're gonna have to go through this again. It is what it is, and they won't ever comment about it because they can't refute facts. It's all facts. Go on Sunshine, Illinois, look up AR Printing. Go on Alexia Julian, the Secretary of State's website, and look up corporations. Look up AR Printing. Look up AR Construction. Look up all these companies. They all go back to one P.O. box that go to Tinley Park. There's 4 companies, or there's 3 companies at least that they have the documents for that all go to one post office box in Tinley Park. I don't know when these people work. So anyway, that's all I have to say about them. And it's just, unfortunately, they like to turn things ugly. Any other comments?
I'm just gonna chime in on the tail end of this here. You had mentioned some of the research that we had done before about secondary jobs and hours. I won't go into detail on that, but I completely support that. That it's, as originally reported, not possible. And then when that was pointed out, the reporting was changed. And frankly, I don't know how that passes muster with any supervisors or internal auditors or anything of that nature. Everything you just mentioned really saddens me as someone who only joined the board, just year and a half ago, something like almost 2, and still seems like I'm relatively new. But having been involved for quite a while and watching the dysfunction and just the stuff, I'll say, that the staff here has had to deal with over the years, it's been my pleasure to come in and join this board here and be part of bringing stability to the community. There's a reason why so many areas in this town have really started to flourish, and a lot of the developments, a lot of the programs. There's a reason why there's some really nice stuff going on in this town, and that's because the staff hasn't had to worry about these sorts of things, and it concerns me the outside influence coming in. And we've been able to have some stability up here. People can do their jobs. There's good, healthy debate back and forth and get things done. People are just worried about getting the work done and doing something positive for the community. It saddens me to think that could change. And the types of shenanigans that are going on in other communities and just the infiltration that we're facing now is just really sad. And it makes me feel sad for the community and for the staff here.
Any other comments?
No, sir.
Item 13, receive comments from the public. Would anyone from the public care to comment?
Hi, thank you.
Can you hold on 1 second so you turn the clock on? You ready? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Joy Gallivan. I live at 17841 92nd Avenue. On September 24th, there was a sewage backup in my home that was the direct result of work done as part of the street resurfacing program. I was at work when I received a call from my husband, who was thankfully at home at the time, thankfully, that sewage was coming into our house. The raw sewage ended up coming through 3 bathrooms on the main floor in 3 separate parts of the house that rained down into our basement. It was 3 hours of raw sewage coming into our house before the problem was figured out and was able to get the flowing to stop. We were left with our basement, which was recently finished, a full bathroom, a powder room, and a large walk-in closet, all determined to be a total loss. That accounts for about 55% of our home. That was 120 days ago, and I'm still waiting for not only reimbursement for the extensive damages, but for somebody to take responsibility. I'm here to let the citizens of Tinley Park know that with all the extensive construction being done here in Tinley, if damage happens to your home as a result of their work, you do not necessarily have the backing and support that we should have from our elected officials. I am fortunate enough to have knowledge and the ability to be advocating for my home and my family in this unfortunate situation. I'm in regular contact with Mayor Glotz, John Urbanski, the Public Works Director, Joe Fitzpatrick, the Water Superintendent, Ken Howard, the Water Foreman, Pat Carr, Village Manager, and William Gamolka, the Administrative Manager. I think about the many citizens in our community that are elderly or English language learners or just don't have access to technology to be advocating for themselves like this. As residents should be able to trust the village has our best interests in mind and feel comfortable how our elected officials that are representing us. I have had to be a loud advocate in this matter. I don't hear from anyone regarding this situation unless I reach out first. From day one, I filed the necessary paperwork that I was told I had to file to inform the village of this situation and was told it was an act of God. Today marks 120 days that we have been patiently waiting for a resolution. I have not gone on social media. I have not gone to the media. I did not want to come and make this public. We just want this behind us at this point. We are no closer to that than we were on day one. The village says it's Iroquois Paving's fault. Iroquois Paving says it's Davis Concrete's fault. Davis Concrete said, the last I heard was, we agree with the village's first determination that it was an act of God. Today, I received notice from the insurance company through Iroquois Paving that the area that was damaged that caused the backup was not part of their contracted work, and instead the responsibility of the village. It's just run around, run around, run around. We are out almost $100,000 that we've had to pay. I'm not seeking anything more than the cost of the damages and loss of property. I'm hoping that my elected officials can stand behind me by putting pressure on the contractors for a quick resolution to this matter. I made copies of all of the information that I've collected with this, from email communications to receipts to pictures to links to videos. I'm really asking for your help. I don't know what else to do. Thank you for your time. Ooh, can I give this? Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. I'm going to pull up the email from Urbanski. Like we said, from day one, we have been talking to you.
I appreciate it.
And it's like, John, I haven't been getting in the weeds with you on the back and forth because we're part-time officials. That's what we have staff for and engineers. It was contractor negligence. Doesn't make it right, but it's contractor negligence. The village cannot legally just say, hey, okay, they did something wrong and cut you a check, right? I mean, I think Hannah, you should probably explain that a little bit more since that's what you guys do.
Yeah, I admittingly, it sounds like you have been working with John a bit, or you were working with John. I haven't been as close to this one in a while. I do, obviously.
What's this in general, how a claim,
Yeah.
when there's
it comes in,
contractor
we
negligence?
Run it through our insurance, that goes to our adjuster, who kind of does their due diligence, gathers all the facts and whatnot, which I think, obviously in this case they did. They'll get the statements from as mentioned, Ken Howard, things like that. And again, when it's not fault of the village, the claim is denied, for many reasons. I mean, Luann too legal's here, so legal's probably better to explain contractor negligence and what happens if the village takes on.
And that's just my concern, because I just did all this with Tinley, presented all the information, presented all the photographs, and then it went to the insurance. I discussed it with them, filled out that paperwork, and then it went to Iroquois, talked to them, submitted all the paperwork. Oh, it's gotta go to the insurance. Okay, talked to them, submitted all the paperwork, all the pictures, all the everything. Then to Davis, just today, I got an email, and they said the driveway that had work replacement, that it was the village that did it, not us. I'm like, we're back to day one.
So in response to, so the board can hear it on Wednesday, whatever day that was, John's last response, sorry, he's not here. In response to your statements in the one email, I'd like to clarify a couple things. One, the village has not made any formal statement to the insurance companies through this process that our stance was the damage was caused by an act of God. I cannot speak on behalf of what Davis wants to tell their agent, but me and my management team have never formalized that thought with our dealings in this entire issue. Yes, Iroquois is the contractor, Village of Tinley Park hired, Davis is a subcontractor, and as such, we have say in the product that was paid for. Once a situation like this arises and is taken to the insurance companies, I can only request that they prioritize and expedite the process, which is what I've done a few times. And this isn't what's in the email, but I could specifically speak on behalf of John. He's constantly calling the insurance company, asking them to get this resolved, putting pressure on Iroquois to get a hold of Davis to get an answer. Third, I agree that you would have been more extensive damage had your husband not been home to respond as he did. In reference to that timeline, it was an approximately a 4-hour gap between the beginning of the sewage backup and Public Works even being contacted. So that also played some of the problems. At that point, we had a 45-minute response and resolution to the backup. Understanding that during the hectic nature during an active situation, Public Works may have not been the first thought of response, but I want to point out that we can't be held responsible for ongoing damage before our notification, which was, like you said, 4 hours, and then it took a 45-minute response. Number 4, regarding your statement of no one fixing the original issue, if you recall our joint meeting walking through the area, we speculated that the shifted manhole on Almond may have been the location of origin for the concrete chunk. If you are referring to that, there was a temporary repair done to the concrete riser ring with the expectation to have that structure epoxy lined when weather is more conducive to the product in the summer. And 5, as a collective group in this email chain, we have continued to be involved in this process. I feel you misunderstand my statement in the last email, with the intent being that we cannot tell another corporations covering insurance agency what to do. And ultimately, my point of the statement, we are involved as much as we possibly can, but some of these processes are simply out of our control. I assure you and hope you see by our involvement to date that the group is an advocate for you to get a resolution to this situation, John Urbanski. That was his last email.
If I may make a comment to that.
Yes.
I didn't mean, I apologize.
No,
I didn't
go ahead.
respond back to that because I felt a lot gets misunderstood in emails back and forth, and that's why I thought I would just come and talk in person, because I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding, or things are taken negatively and it's not meant that way. The day the sewage came, I came rushing home. I worked 7 minutes from home. We called an emergency plumber. We had the water. We weren't sitting there for 3 hours. My first reaction when I have a leak is, oh my gosh, something must have happened. We turned the water main off on the toilets. It didn't work. We turned the water main off on the house. It didn't work. We had they come out, do the B-box, they come out. I have so much knowledge of sewage stuff right now. It's crazy. So we were actively for 3 hours trying to get this to stop and couldn't, and it was raining raw sewage. I can't express this enough. For hours, ruining, we almost lost our home. If my husband didn't happen to be home at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, which he's never home at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, we could have lost our home. So for that 3 hours, we weren't sitting doing nothing. We were doing, I mean, like if I have a water leak, I'm not calling Public Works, I'm calling a plumber. I'm taking responsibility. It must be something on our end. So we were doing stuff. Just to clarify that part.
And he's not saying that whatsoever, like he said in there. Obviously, there's more things going on that you're thinking of, not thinking, oh, I should call Public Works, because obviously you're thinking, well, we should shut the water off. That didn't work. And then by the time you know, time's gone by. And I know there was an issue. I'm not an insurance guy, so I don't know a lot about it, other than John and his staff is doing everything they can to work with you. We feel horribly for you, and I've told you that a million times. We have no control over insurance, and I'd almost like to ask trustee Brennan, who owns State Farm Insurance, you know, there's been part of the emails for now. Part of the issues, Bill, that they've been bringing up too, is that the insurance kicking back is that they didn't have some type of backup rider. I don't know who does, I don't know if that's normal, and so that's part of the
Yeah,
issue that they're.
that's what trustee Shaw just asked me. If you didn't have a backup of sewer and drain rider on there, unfortunately, there'd be no coverage on a standard homeowner's policy. And I
Right.
can't speak to everyone's policies out there, because I
Our,
just can't professionally.
Our insurance agent was amazing, came to the house, was walking through raw sewage up to his ankles for 2 days. I can't say enough about Mark Moylan, he's amazing. Truly, can't say enough. He advocated hard for us, because he said, this didn't come from, the only dry parts of my basement were my sump pump and my ejector pump, the things we're responsible for taking care of.
Mark's
And
a great guy.
And he's great. It truly is nothing against him. And then somebody else came out from State Farm, the adjuster, and they walked through and said, oh my gosh, absolutely, this will be taken care of, because this wasn't you. This isn't a sewer backup. This is a sewer fill-up. It's a
Yeah,
fill-up from a separate
there's
thing.
differentiation between
And
a fill-up and a backup.
They
so.
denied everything. I filed a complaint with Illinois Department of Insurance. That's a whole separate thing we're
Right.
doing right now. But we work really, really hard to pay off our home. It is one of those things. We're not one of those people that take these lavish vacations and do all these things. We've had to take out a mortgage. We've had to drain our children's savings accounts. We are hurting.
Yeah, the only route that they could possibly go would be through, if you had the coverage, and I know we're speaking, after the fact, is they could take the lead and go through a process called subrogation, where they could get the money back through Davis's insurance company, but, I don't, like I said, I'm not familiar with, with the claim, so this is kind of the first I'm hearing of it actually tonight, so.
In that binder, there's photographs of the damage. I mean, we had to have the walls removed, the floors removed, everything. Because we did have a mitigation company come out. We didn't know the one bathroom was damaged. They just kept detecting sewage everywhere they went. And there are links to videos to show you. I mean, we found that the sewer out in front of the house was bubbling over. My problem was that when we filed the report, initially, it was pushback. It's an act of God. And then we had people come out and look, and they said, oh, this is because you did this. It was just never like, oh, let's sit down and talk about this.
The act of God never came out of Village of Tinley Park, that came from Davis.
Okay, because I actually have in there that when I filed the report initially, when I called, the woman I spoke to, her name's in there, I don't remember her name, Kelly? Something, said, I spoke to the people at Public Works, in the Public Works Department, and they said to tell you it's an act of God. That was
I can't
that was
speak
day
for
one.
staff, that would have never came from John, that would have never came from Joe Fitzpatrick, that would have never came from Ken Howard. If a lower level staffer said that, I apologize. They shouldn't have, like John said, they've never referred to it as that act of God. I'm not an expert on insurance, but I do know when there's a subcontractor, they also have to sign documentation that the lead, which is Iroquois, even though if Davis wants to say no, they still can hold them responsible and go after that. So I can't speak for them, but I will most definitely have, John's not here, so I'm assuming he's on vacation or something.
As of today, from 7/22, I heard from West Bend, and they said,
From who?
West Bend Insurance, who's the insurance coverage for Iroquois. Again, I've been doing all this on my own. What if I was some elderly person? This wouldn't have happened. I mean, they wouldn't have the knowledge to do this. She said that I had a chance to speak with the insured regarding the damaged manhole address. Driveways were not part of the contracted work. Each homeowner who replaced their driveway had worked out replacement with the village to get that work done, which included the manhole located on that Almond Lane. So they're saying now that it's you. That's where my frustration comes from, is we've been so patient. Like I said, we have not wanted to, we just wanted it taken care of. I mean, the amount of days I've had to take off, the amount of sickness we've had from this, it has been extensive, and we just want, cover what was done. And it's been patience and, company, insurance, back to day one, company. I mean, this has been a cycle. It is almost every day of my life since September 24th. We've been doing something every single day.
They, because of the weather, they called us off of work for tomorrow, but not, we say we, me, not them. And so I will, Pat and Hannah and I will get together tomorrow with Public Works, which I'm assuming would be, who, John's not here, right? So it would be Ken and Joe.
Colby, Ken, Joe,
Joe.
me.
And so we'll get together with them and we'll try and get the attorneys involved. Okay, so you're getting office hours over tomorrow? Yes. All right, and so we'll try and find some type of resolution by the end of the week. Trust me, it's ridiculous. That's the way insurance companies are. And you've seen it yourself. We haven't been a part of it. They have, and now they want to point it back to us, you know, that,
Right.
so.
Is there an open claim with Davis too?
Davis said they're not even opening a claim. They said, nope. All they said was, we agree with the city's original statement of act of God. So I don't know how they even heard that. So they said they're not even opening a claim.
I will,
Yeah.
I will come in here tomorrow. We are gonna get on the phone with these people. Our attorney will be here. And one way or another, we'll call you tomorrow and give you an update on where we're at.
I appreciate it. And that's why I wanted to come today, just because like I said, so much is misconstrued via email. I just figured I would just,
It's not
Talk about it.
misconstrued. It's, I'd be just as upset if I was you. And we have to go through the process. Our insurance company, we can't just call and say, hey, we need you to pay this. That's just not how it works. It's not right. It's unfortunately not the answer you want to hear, but when it comes to insurance, you're stuck with them, right? And so we will,
Did Iroquois open a claim though? So Iroquois got an open claim?
I have, in that binder, I have all the names of the insurance, everybody. I've been doing all this.
Do you have, is Davis's in there too?
Davis, well, they didn't, Iroquois, Davis won't open it.
put Iroquois.
Yeah, but they
Force
should have,
as a son.
yeah, they should have provided a certificate of insurance when they're,
They do.
To Iroquois.
They have recourse for a son.
okay. So that, I mean, you might be able to file it directly through there though, through Davis's company, so, you know, but I don't know if you're,
You around tomorrow?
Right,
yeah.
because you can contact their insurance company and say you want to file a claim.
Yeah, you can contact them directly. There's, you know, and we should have the information. They should have had to provide it to Iroquois when they submitted their bid package, or if that's who they're using, they should have provided it.
And maybe we could even call Mark and see if he's right down the street, let us know where he's at, what he's done. And, between our attorneys and hopefully Bill, who I think is the best, and Mark, and, we'll, hopefully get you some type of answer of something by tomorrow.
I
But I
appreciate
will
it.
definitely be here tomorrow.
Thank you. I
You're very
appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you for all of your
Sorry
time.
this has happened.
No, thank you.
Sorry about your situation.
Are there any other comments from the public? Is there any executive session? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Roll call for adjournment, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Have a good night.